Daniel Cormier and MMA analyst Din Thomas just had a heated back and forth. The two got into it recently, arguing over who truly deserves to be called the pound-for-pound king right now, Ilia Topuria or Islam Makhachev. Now, keep in mind, DC is tight with Islam. They're longtime teammates, close friends, and he's always had Islam's back. But even with that loyalty, Cormier tried to keep it real by accepting that Ilia is number one right now. But then he added something that sparked the entire debate. He said if Islam moves up and beats Jack Della Maddalena to win the welterweight title, then the top spot flips. Islam becomes the pound-for-pound king again. And honestly, that makes sense. Islam's already dominated the lightweight division. If he goes up and grabs gold in a second weight class, that would be historic. That's a career-defining move. That's how you shake up the rankings and make a real statement. But Din Thomas wasn't buying it at all. Din came in swinging. He straight up said a win over Jack doesn't really prove it. According to Din, Jack Della Maddalena isn't a big enough name. He said Jack was ranked number 7 until he got the belt, and that beating him shouldn't move Islam to the top of the pound-for-pound list. Din even said Jack is not a Hall of Famer. And that's where things got wild. Because Jack just beat Belal Muhammad, a guy who hadn't lost in years and was arguably next in line for a title shot. Jack is on a crazy win streak. He just became welterweight champ, and he's doing it all with clean, dangerous striking. To act like beating Jack means nothing? That's a stretch, and most fans are calling it out. If Islam moves up and beats Jack, while already being the king at lightweight and having 4 title defenses, how is that not pound-for-pound material? But Din wasn't done. He doubled down. He said if Islam wants to be seen on that level, he needs to beat someone bigger.
Islam is able to beat Jack Della Maddalena, it flips again. And then Islam goes back to number 1 pound for pound. Only because it is, Dean. Dean, listen. Only because it is. Fighting style will then be proven to go up to the next weight class. So then Islam will have done everything Topuria has done at a heavier weight, 4 title defenses at 155, and then the new champion at welterweight.
Absolutely not. Because the win over Jack Della Maddalena doesn't really prove it. I mean, in fact, Jack was like ranked 7 until he won the belt.
But this
Jack's not a Hall of Famer, like the way he don't have the strength of schedule that Ilia got. The fact that Ilia is such a strong favorite already says enough about how good we think he is.
I think he's great too.
And if Makhachev beats Jack Della Maddalena, that to me, that's not really the feather in his cap that he needs. He needs to beat a stronger opponent. I think he needs to beat a Hall of Famer. If he were to knock out Kamaru Usman, that would be different.
Let us know what you think. Is Din being too harsh, or is DC just backing his guy? Meanwhile, in the heavyweight division, things are getting messy again, and Tom Aspinall just added some serious fuel to the fire. Jon Jones recently popped back up on the radar. After retiring, vacating his belt, and disappearing from the fight scene, he suddenly re-entered the drug testing pool claiming he's back. But Tom wasn't impressed. In fact, he dismissed the whole thing as unserious, and you can't really blame him. One week Jon retires, the next week he says he's ready to fight again. It's feeling less like a comeback and more like a prank. Aspinall made it clear he's not waiting on Jon Jones. He's looking forward, and the 2 realistic names on the table are Cyril Gane and Jailton Almeida. Gane is the number 1 contender, but let's be honest, his recent controversial win over Volkov didn't light the fans up. A lot of people thought Volkov won that fight, and Gane's performance left more questions than answers. On the other hand, Jailton Almeida is quietly putting together a strong case. He's on a solid win streak and brings a whole different kind of danger to the division. His grappling is elite, and stylistically, he's a nightmare for a lot of guys. So while Jon Jones might still be the dream matchup, Aspinall's next move will probably be against Gane or Almeida. Tom Aspinall also talked about his future in the sport, and it might not be as long as fans would hope. In a recent interview, Tom said he intends to retire from the sport before it retires from him. Now that's heavy. He explained that after being around so many fighters, he's seen how hard this game is on the body and the mind. He's already carrying injuries that will probably bother him forever, and he's not trying to end up broken down. If he feels like the damage is piling up too much, he'll walk away.
I want to retire from the sport before it retires me. And as we chatted about before, I've been around a lot of fighters now, and I can see how that wears on the body over time, mentally and physically.
Yeah.
I don't want to get to the spot where it affects my everyday life, and that can happen quite easily. Obviously, I'm carrying my own injuries I'm a lifetime martial artist. I'm carrying injuries, of course, that are probably going to bother me for the rest of my life, but I don't want to keep bashing my body forever if I can help it. So to answer the question, I don't really know.
But you will know when.
I will not. When I do start to feel like that, I'll be making the call.
But Tom's not the only one thinking about calling it a career. Ilia Topuria just dropped a bombshell during an interview with Spanish influencer David Martinez, and fans are seriously worried. Instead of the usual call-outs or title talks, Ilia opened up in a way we've never really seen before. Ilia talked about how he's already accomplished everything he set out to do. He became a champion. He beat legends. He crushed Charles Oliveira in the first round. And now he's having a hard time finding a reason to keep going. He admitted that sometimes he has to force himself to stay motivated. He's mentioned before that he wants to retire by age 30, and he's never backed down from that. That clock is ticking. At this point, I don't know, man. I really don't. I'll go with whatever still brings me some joy. But that's getting harder to find. When your dream is to become a world champion and you finally get there, then you move up, set a new challenge and conquer that too, it starts to feel like, what's left? What's the point of going on? And here's the twist. Ilia wanted to move up again to welterweight and try to become a 3-division champ. No one in UFC history has ever done that. But Dana White shut it down. He said no. That rejection might have hit harder than people realize. Because if there's no new mountain to climb, Ilia might just decide to walk away on top. Just like Khabib, GSP, or apparently John Jones. He wants to leave before the game takes too much from him. Well, let us know what you think Ilia's next move should be. And that's gonna wrap it up for today's MMA news. Be sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for daily updates in the fight world. Catch you in the next one.